Okay, so I'll be teaching my third graders, and this is my on-level group, okay? All right, so good morning, class. What we're going to do today is we're going to start with a little bit of review of what we've done this week, okay? So first, do you guys remember when we read this book on Monday?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. So what I want you guys to do is think in your head and share out, what do you remember what we learned with this book? Do you remember any information about these penguins that we learned?
They're waterproof.
They are waterproof. So they have these little they produce oils on their feathers, so then it allows them to be waterproof. Very good. Anything else?
They live in groups.
Groups. Do you guys remember what those groups are called? No, they're called flocks. Remember, they live in those flocks. Okay, what else did we remember?
They glide on the ice with their bellies.
Their big bellies, right. Helps them glide smoothly on the ice. Very good. Anything else?
They can't fly.
Right. They have these big, strong wings, but then they can't fly with them. Very good.
They can't breathe underwater.
They cannot breathe underwater. They're just like us. They breathe oxygen through their lungs, so they need to come up for air. Very good.
They're really good swimmers.
They are. Again, those big bellies in that oil really helps them glide through the water. Anything else we remember?
They live where it's really cold.
Really, really cold, right? Do you remember the place that they live?
Antarctica.
Antarctica, very good. That's what we would call their habitat. Remember when we talked about habitat?
Yeah.
It's where they naturally live. Is all animals, even us, we have a habitat, okay? All right, very good. So now that we've talked about this one, yesterday, okay, we talked, no, sorry. We'll go back to this, okay? Do you remember what else we talked about with this book? That's okay.
The life cycle?
Kind of, but what I'm going with is the table of contents, okay? Remember when we talked about the table of contents?
Yes.
Do you guys remember that? Mm-hmm. Remember when we use the table of contents, we find what we want to read. So for this instance, it's chapters. And then we go across and we find the page number where that chapter starts. Do you remember us practicing that?
Yes.
Very good, because today we're going to practice this while we're learning about these penguins, okay? So just remember how we use the table of contents on Monday, okay? All right, now we'll move on to our passage, which we read yesterday. Do you guys remember this passage?
Yes.
Yeah, it's about the same thing, right, as our textbook here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what information do you remember from this passage that we haven't already talked about from this book?
They have black heads.
Yeah, they have those really like flat black heads. That's a good piece to remember.
Blubber.
They're blubber. What's another word for blubber? Do you remember that?
Extra fat.
Fat. Isn't that a funny word? I know. So they have this thick layer of blubber underneath all their feathers to keep them warm. And remember, sometimes they have to dip in the ocean because they can get so hot from all those layers. Very good. What else?
They get their food underwater.
Yeah, since they can swim so well underwater, they're able to catch their food really quickly. Do you remember what they eat?
Squid and fish.
Yes, so I brought some pictures of a squid here, kind of icky, right? And then some fish. This is what they eat. They can swim underwater and grab them quickly with their sharp beaks. All right, what else did we talk about from this passage?
They're scared of killer whales.
Killer whales are scary. Do you remember what those animals are called when they attack them and they're scared of those animals? Predators. That's very, very good. A lot of different animals and species have predators. Those are the other living things out there that attack them and eat them for their food. Very good. What else did we talk about?
Their wings, feet, and big white bellies.
Again, their big white bellies and their strong wings, and then their two little webbed feet, right? And those little webbed feet help them swim just a little bit faster underwater. What else?
Orange patches on their face.
Yeah, they're usually white and black, but they have those unique and bright orange patches on their faces and their necks. Very good. Anything else? Do we remember one more predator of theirs?
Sea lion.
Sea lions. I always thought sea lions were the cutest thing ever, and I didn't know they could hurt a fly. But here they are, and they're predators of emperor penguins. Okay, very, very good. So now what we're going to do is we are going to, let me show you what they look like. So can you point out a sea lion on this page for me?
Bottom one.
Yeah, it kind of looks harmless, doesn't it? And then here's your killer whale up top. And then this one, what is this one called? Do you guys remember this?
Leopard seal.
Yeah, you can kind of remember that because of all their spots. Very, very good. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to compare the two texts. Do you know what that means to compare things? What are you looking for when you compare things?
Similarities.
Similarities. That's a very good word to use it. Yeah, compare and contrast are finding the similarities and the differences. But today we're just going to focus on comparing, okay? We're going to find the similarities between our passage and our book, okay? So I'm going to model the first box for you, okay? So what I'm going to have you guys do is just follow along with what I do, and then you guys will do the next one with me, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to open our book to the table of contents. Can you all get out your book and flip to the page that has the table of contents? Okay, so what we're going to do, what I'm going to do, you guys just follow along, okay? I am going to start with my essay or my comparison passage here. And I'm going to look at this big first box. I'm going to focus on that too, first thing, okay? And so this is kind of giving me a description of what an emperor penguin is, right? So I want to find a chapter that relates to it on our table of contents. So on our table of contents, it says an emperor penguin and its body, okay? So I think I'm going to focus on that chapter first, comparing it to this section. So can someone tell me what page that's on?
10.
8, very good. That's okay, my finger was a little low. Yes, 8. So I'm going to take this book and I'm going to turn to page 8. And isn't that fascinating that the table of contents can just tell me exactly where I need to go? Yeah, it is, I know. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to read both of these key facts about these penguins from each text. And what I'm going to do is after I'm done, I'm going to think, man, what sounded similar in those texts? Okay, so for example, follow along while I read. I'm going to start with the passage, okay? In the first box, the emperor penguin is the largest of all penguins. It is just over 1 meter tall and weighs around 30 kilograms. They have black heads, wings, and feet and white bellies. They also have orange patches on their necks and faces. They have thick blubber underneath their skin, which keeps them warm in the cold weather, okay? So I'm going to remember that information and I'm going to transfer over to my book. And I'm going to read about the emperor penguin in a different text, okay? The body of an emperor penguin is designed for life in the Southern Ocean. An emperor penguin has powerful wings. It uses its wings as flippers while it swims. Its body is streamlined or smoothly shaped, allowing the penguins to swim quickly through the water. An emperor penguin must swim quickly to find food and avoid their predators. Predators are animals that hunt and eat other animals. An emperor penguin has 2 layers of feathers that keep their body warm. The outer layer of feathers is made up of many small feathers, which is covered in oil. The oil makes their feathers waterproof. Under the layer of small feathers, the penguin has a layer of warm, fluffy feathers called down. Down traps warm air close to the penguin's skin, and under its skin, a penguin has a thick layer of blubber or fat that also helps the penguin keep warm. In fact, with all its layers, the penguin sometimes gets too hot. To cool off, the penguin fluffs up its feathers or spreads its wings to release some body heat. Okay, so that was kind of a lot, I know. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep my text side by side, and I'm going to kind of remember what did I talk about that was similar in both passages. So the first thing I remember is the word blubber. I mean, it's a fun word, and I remember hearing it in both passages, right? So I'm going to take my book that I can write on, and I am going to highlight the part that it talks about the blubber, okay? And it's actually on page 9. So I'm going to highlight the sentence, under its skin, a penguin has a thick layer of blubber. Okay? I'm going to highlight it. Okay. So I remember talking about blubber in that one, so now I just need to find the sentence that talks about blubber in our passage. Luckily, it's already kind of highlighted and bolded for us, so we know what sentence to use. So I'm going to highlight, they have thick blubber underneath their skin, which keeps them warm in the cold weather. Okay, so do you guys see how I highlighted those sections on both of my texts? I highlighted what are similar in the two texts, okay? So now we're going to do the next section together, okay? So we know what section we need to use on our passage because it's the next box, and it's titled Habitat, okay? But we need to find the right pages to read about in our book. Luckily, we can go to our table of contents. So remember, what is a habitat? What do we call that?
Where they live.
Where they live. So is there a chapter in this book that talks about where they live?
Probably the coldest place on earth.
Perfect. The coldest place on earth. Tori, can you tell me what page that's on?
Page 6.
Very good. So I want everyone to take their book and turn to page 6, okay? All right, and it should say the coldest place on earth at the top, okay? Can I have a volunteer to start and read the passage from our text, this box here?
I will.
Okay, perfect. Everyone follow along while Tori reads to us.
Emperor penguins live in harsh places near the seas of Antarctica. It is a very cold and windy place. Some winds can be as fast as 200 miles per hour. Because of this, penguins have waterproof feathers to keep dry and extra fat, blubber, to keep them warm. They live in big groups called flocks.
Thank you. All right, so let's remember that information and let's go to our textbook now. Okay, on page 6, can I have someone read this first part for me?
I'll do it.
Okay, thank you.
A habitat is the natural place where an animal lives. An emperor penguin's habitat is the Southern Ocean. The Southern Ocean surrounds Antarctica. Antarctica is the most southern continent, the coldest place on Earth. The Southern Ocean is so cold that the surface freezes into large pieces of ice. These huge blocks of floating ice are called pack ice. When emperor penguins leave the water, they often move onto pack ice.
Thank you. All right, so we're going to turn the page, and there's just a little bit more on this side. Would you like to read the next section?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Whenever penguins are out of the ocean, they are in the coldest, windiest, and driest climate in the world. The average temperature in Antarctica is about negative 58 degrees Fahrenheit, negative 50 degrees Celsius. In winter, there are powerful storms and freezing winds that blow up to 200 miles per hour. Antarctica is covered in snow all year. It receives less than 2 inches of precipitation each year, but the temperature never gets warm enough in Antarctica to melt all the snow.
Thank you. So pretty much it's saying how cold Antarctica is. Oh my goodness, it is freezing over there. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to ask you guys, do you remember anything that we read about in our passage, but we also read about it in our book? Do you guys have anything?
200 miles per hour.
The wind, yes. The wind can blow up to 200 miles per hour. Both texts stated that. So what we're going to do is we're going to highlight that. We're going to highlight some winds can be as fast as 200 miles per hour. And then we're going to go to our book, and we're going to highlight that statement in the text. All right, looks like you all highlighted it correctly. Perfect. Okay, do we have one more example that we can compare in both texts?
Emperor penguins live in harsh places near the seas of Antarctica.
Yeah, Antarctica. That place is said in both passages. So we're going to highlight that sentence for sure. And then what do you think we could highlight in our text in our book? Let's look at the first page of the coldest places on Earth.
An emperor penguin's habitat is the Southern Ocean. The Southern Ocean surrounds Antarctica.
Yes, very good. The book explanation is a little bit more specific, but it still talks about the same thing. Okay, so now what we're going to do is work independently on the bottom part, okay? So what I'm going to have you guys do is read with a partner. So I'll have you two pair up and I'll be your partner, okay? And what I'm going to have you do is partner A. So Tori, you'll be partner A, and Kerrigan, you'll be partner A. And what you're going to do is you're going to read this section of the passage to your partner, okay? But once you are done, you're going to take our book and you're going to be the person in charge of finding the table of contents for your partner B to read, okay? You're going to find the correct chapter and you're going to show me that you can use the table of contents to find the right chapter, okay? And then partner B, which will be you and me, okay? We're going to read that section, okay? And then when we're done reading, you will work independently and highlight the similarities, okay? So do not work with a partner when you're highlighting, okay? I want to see if you can find your own similarities. Okay, so you guys can partner up and start, and then Kerrigan will partner up, okay? I'll turn this.
They cannot. However, they can swim
Okay,
fast.
so do you want to read
Swimming
first?
at around
Okay.
300 kilometers
Penguins
per
have
hour.
wings, but they cannot
They
fly.
catch their food
However,
while they are
can swim
swimming.
fast.
They
Swimming
gather
at
fish
around
and
30
squid in
kilometers
their
per
beaks,
hour.
which
catch
they
their food
eat
while
under
they
the
are
water.
swimming.
They use
They
their
gather
wings like
fish and
flippers
squid
and steer
in their beaks, which
with
they
their
eat under
tails.
the water.
They
use
have
their
sleek
wings like
bodies,
flippers and steer with their tails. They have sleek bodies
which help them glide through the water. Penguins have predators of their own. Their enemies are killer whales, leopard seals, and seals.
Very
Sea
good.
lions.
All right, so now I want to read to you, but I need to find the table. I don't know where to find it. So can you help me with the table of contents and help me find what page I need to read?
The table of
Probably-
contents is right here.
Probably page 4.
And
Okay, what's that chapter called?
What is a penguin?
Yes, okay, so I'm going to start by reading that one, okay? So now I'll read to you. A penguin is a bird. A bird is an animal that has feathers, a beak, 2 legs, and 2 wings. Unlike most birds, penguins do not use their wings to fly. Penguins live mainly in water, so they use their wings to swim. Like all birds, penguins breathe air using their lungs. Lungs are body parts that take in and let out air. Penguins cannot breathe underwater. They must swim to the surface of the water to breathe air. A penguin is a warm-blooded animal. The body temperature of a warm-blooded animal stays about the same in both cold and warm places. Most penguins live in places that are very cold. Their thick feathers help them keep warm. Okay? And then there's a little section back here. There are 17 species or types of penguins. This book is about emperor penguins. Like all penguins, emperor penguins live in groups called colonies. Such as the one shown to the right. Emperor penguins travel, raise their babies, and hunt for food in colonies, also known as their flocks. Okay? So now that we've read, let's work on our own and highlight our similarities, okay? Okay, is everybody done? There should be, I think, 2 in that one, okay? All right, perfect. So now what we're going to do is we're going to wrap up this lesson, okay? So I'm just going to we're going to just have a little discussion, okay? So just share out whenever an idea pops in your mind. But we're just going to talk about all the similarities between our 2 texts. So just thinking about today and earlier this week, what is all the comparisons that we could think of or find and highlight between the two texts.
Well, they are typically in water.
Yes, a lot of their lives are spent in water. Very good.
A penguin's body consists of 2 wings, 2 legs, a head, a beak, and blubber, which is fat.
Right. How exciting is that? To just have a thick layer of fat, also known as blubber, to keep you warm. We wouldn't need our winter coats then. We could just walk around in our normal clothes because of our blubber. All right, what else do we remember?
They can't fly.
They cannot fly. Remember, they have those strong wings, but they don't help them fly. What do they help them do?
Swim.
Swim. They are great swimmers. All right, what else do we remember?
They're waterproof.
They're waterproof. Do you remember why they're waterproof?
They have oils.
Right, that oil on their feathers really helps them be water resistant. All right, what else?
They swim very fast through water because of their sleek bodies
Yeah,
that help them guide them through the water.
perfect. All right, good job, class. That's going to be it for today, but you did a great job.